Canelo Alvarez and Terence "Bud" Crawford are heading into one of the most highly anticipated fights in modern boxing, and the build-up has been nothing short of intense. Both men stand among the elite of the sport, pound-for-pound champions in their own right, yet their collision on September 13th has created more conversation than any bout in recent memory. What makes this fight fascinating is not just the skill, but the layers of doubt, the differing opinions, and the weight of legacy that both men carry. To understand what this showdown means, you have to look at what's being said from every corner of boxing: fighters, coaches, analysts, fans, and even sparring partners. Everyone has something to say, and every perspective adds fire to a matchup that could define an entire era. The first point of tension came with Canelo Alvarez's attitude toward Terence Crawford. Canelo himself openly admitted that he lost respect for Crawford at one stage, claiming that Crawford's approach was confusing. According to Canelo, Crawford initially said he would not do what people wanted him to do, that he would not bend to the expectations around him. But then, in Canelo's eyes, Crawford seemed nervous, especially in Riyadh, and perhaps people around him urged him to make adjustments. Canelo believed Crawford tried to walk back some of his words, and that is why he pushed the idea forward, making it clear he no longer respected him. For Canelo, this isn't just another fight, it's personal. He directly warned Crawford, saying that September 13th would be different, that Crawford would soon realize what he was stepping into. Canelo made it clear that he wasn't playing games, saying flatly, "Don't mess with me, September 13th is going to be different for you." Some observers already sense echoes of history in this fight. There are those who have compared it to Manny Pacquiao stepping up to face Oscar de la Hoya years ago. Pacquiao was thought to be too small, yet he shocked the world. Now the same whispers surround Crawford. Could this be his Pacquiao moment, a night where a smaller man dares to dream and ends up rewriting history? Off the back of Canelo's most recent performances, some analysts are not convinced he's invincible. And for them, Crawford is just as dangerous as ever. Canelo Alvarez, though, hasn't held back his words. He issued a blistering warning to Terence Crawford, declaring that this fight is about everything. For him, it's not just another defense, not just another payday. It's about showing the world that Crawford has never faced an elite fighter like him before. Canelo reminded everyone that Crawford may have faced good fighters, but there is a difference between good and elite, and in Canelo's view, he stands at the highest tier. He promised to keep it real, to hunt Crawford, to take everything away from him on fight night. In his eyes, two of the best pound-for-pound fighters are meeting, and Crawford will discover the difference on September 13th. Among the names being discussed around the fight, Jaron "Boots" Ennis made headlines with his perspective. Boots, a rising star in the welterweight division, has reportedly been sparring with Canelo, and his insight has been valuable. Ennis acknowledged that while Crawford is a great fighter, his experience is not the same as Canelo's. Ennis pointed out that Canelo has fought naturally bigger men and has dropped them, even though Canelo himself isn't the biggest super middleweight. He argued that Canelo could easily be at middleweight, yet he's been hurting and stopping fighters who come into the ring closer to 200 pounds. For Ennis, that's a major difference. He leaned toward Canelo because of this proven power and size. While he respected Crawford, he believed that jumping straight to super middleweight was too big of a leap. In his view, Crawford should have tested himself at middleweight first, maybe had a warm-up fight to get used to bigger opposition before taking on a champion as decorated and dangerous as Canelo. Daoud Bey added to the discussion, highlighting the importance of sparring. According to him, both camps are going all out, and that alone shows how seriously both men are taking this fight. He noted that the level of sparring partners being brought in is elite, and that detail demonstrates how massive the bout is becoming. For Bey, the seriousness of training and preparation reflects the gravity of this clash. Yet, not everyone has been entirely comfortable with the decision. May, a voice in the boxing community, admitted his discomfort with Crawford moving up 2 weight classes for this fight. He expressed his feelings not as a coach, but as a fan. From his perspective, it didn't sit right to see the best fighter from his community have to take on such a physically taxing challenge. He stressed that weight classes exist for a reason, and jumping 2 divisions is no easy task. Still, he acknowledged that Crawford is chasing greatness and financial security, and it would be wrong to deny him that opportunity. For May, Crawford's resume has sometimes been criticized, but taking on Canelo elevates it to legendary status. Regardless of the difficulty, the fight could transform Crawford's career into an all-time resume. Crawford's camp has been vocal as well. His strength coach, Chad Fortune, revealed that Crawford has been training in the mountains, pushing himself to peak condition. Fortune expressed immense confidence, stating that Crawford is going to shock the world, that he's in the best shape of his life, and that this fight will prove his greatness. His words carried conviction, making it clear that Team Crawford believes in the mission and the historical opportunity ahead. On the other side, Canelo's camp has reported that his sparring sessions have been ferocious. Those who witnessed them claimed his shots were not practice punches, but full of fight night brutality. Canelo has been working heavily on explosive power, body shots, and uppercuts, sharpening the tools that have always been part of his arsenal. This approach indicates he's preparing to impose his strength on Crawford from the very first round. Boxing analyst Aid Oladipo weighed in, offering a nuanced take. He acknowledged that Crawford's skill is undeniable and that his style often reflects boxing philosophy at its purest form: control, dominance, and adaptability. Yet Oladipo pointed out the obvious size difference, warning that carrying extra weight under the bright lights is not the same as sparring. For him, Canelo's experience at higher weights could force Crawford into uncomfortable territory. Still, Oladipo clarified that this fight is not about bodies, but performance. Canelo may not be a towering giant like David Benavidez, but he is naturally strong and has proven that strength against elite opposition. For pure boxing ability, Oladipo leaned toward Crawford, suggesting that talent could bridge the gap. At the same time, Terence Crawford has faced criticism from different corners of the boxing world. Some fans and former fighters have questioned whether skipping the middleweight division is wise. Manny Robles, a respected trainer, had no firm stance on who would win but emphasized how dangerous both men are. He reminded fans of Canelo's accomplishments, the fighters he's faced, and the fact that even if he didn't look his best in his most recent fights, he has proven time and again why he's at the top. Robles also highlighted Crawford's unique versatility. In his view, Crawford's ability to switch stances, his counter-punching skills, and his overall ring IQ make him one of the most dangerous fighters alive. For Robles, this fight is truly a toss-up, a genuine 50-50 battle that could go either way. Sean Porter, a former opponent of Crawford, brought his own perspective. Confident in Crawford's abilities, Porter revealed that he placed a $3,000 bet on Crawford to beat Canelo. While he admitted the fight is close and on paper looks like a 50-50 matchup, Porter leaned toward Crawford's ability to adapt and deliver under pressure. For him, Crawford has what it takes to shock the world again. Meanwhile, Jojo Diaz focused on Canelo's brute strength. He acknowledged that Crawford is a phenomenal fighter, but he believed that Canelo's raw power would be too much. Diaz predicted a knockout win for Canelo, pointing out that when Canelo lands clean, the fight can change instantly. Diaz reminded everyone that Canelo has absorbed huge shots from Gennady Golovkin and Dmitry Bivol, fighters known for their punching power, and he stood firm. In Diaz's eyes, if Crawford couldn't withstand those kinds of shots, it would be the end of his night. Still, Diaz allowed for the possibility that Crawford could catch Canelo with something he doesn't see. Unlike Golovkin, who is powerful but slower, Crawford's speed and timing could potentially create openings. If he landed cleanly and unexpectedly, Diaz admitted, it might hurt Canelo. But he ultimately sided with Canelo, believing his experience and power would prevail. For Canelo Alvarez, this fight represents more than another defense. He has already cemented his position as the undisputed champion at 168 pounds, but beating Crawford would add another layer to his legacy. It would show that he could handle not just the giants of his division, but also the most skilled fighter moving up to face him. It is about his place in the history books, solidifying himself as one of the greatest ever. For Terence Crawford, the stakes are even higher. No one has ever been undisputed in 3 weight classes in the 4-belt era. Achieving that would make him unique, placing him in boxing immortality. This fight is not just about titles, it's about history. Mal, known as the Professor, bluntly reminded fans of the realities of boxing. He emphasized that weight classes exist for a reason. While Crawford has all the skills required to beat Canelo, speed, counters, jab, footwork, the weight difference is the biggest obstacle. According to Mal, talent can sometimes bridge gaps, but in the end, physics and size matter. Every exchange at super middleweight is heavier, every punch carries more danger, and Crawford has never been tested in such a scenario. Despite that, Mal respected Crawford's heart and skill, noting that he is no ordinary fighter. Fans have also weighed in on Crawford's courage. Many recalled moments from his past, such as surviving being shot in the head and driving himself to the hospital. For those supporters, the idea that Crawford could be afraid of Canelo is ridiculous. They argue that Crawford is not afraid of any man, and that his mindset is built differently. This narrative has helped fuel support for him, painting him as a warrior daring to do what few would attempt. As the fight approaches, one thing is clear: this is not just a regular boxing match. Every perspective highlights how monumental it is. From Canelo's warning that Crawford cannot stand still to the words of sparring partners and analysts who recognize the stakes, the promotion around the fight continues to intensify. Aid Oladipo reminded fans that for Canelo, this is almost routine. He's fought Floyd Mayweather, Shane Mosley, Miguel Cotto, Gennady Golovkin, Dmitry Bivol, and countless others. For him, September 13th might feel like just another Saturday night. For Crawford, though, it's the biggest stage of his career, the fight that could define his legacy forever. And that's where the heart of this fight lies. For Canelo Alvarez, victory adds to an already historic career. For Terence Crawford, victory changes the sport. It's the kind of matchup that only comes along once in a generation, where two legacies collide, where one man dares to climb into uncharted waters, and the other seeks to prove his dominance once again. The world is watching, and fans know this is the fight they'll be talking about for decades. Will Crawford's brilliance shock the world, or will Canelo's power and experience remind everyone why he is at the top? That is the burning question, and only September 13th will reveal the truth.